Hello. Today I'm going to talk about a kind of seemingly weird practice for a lot of people, but one that has taken me from being stuck or feeling stuck and uninspired and not really even wanting to pick up my instruments to every day wanting to do something on an instrument, whether that's writing or practicing or playing something and just kind of working on things. And so this comes from a simple exercise. Anyone can do this no matter where you're at in your journey. If you only can even play one note or one chord, you can do something like this. You could take this approach to help get you inspired. Okay, so this approach kind of comes from a different mindset. So I want you to take a few deep breaths in through your nose and then slowly out through your mouth. You could do a psychological sigh, as they call it, where you take a deep breath, inhale through your nose, then take one more, really fill it up, hold it, and then out through your mouth very slowly. Okay, that is a scientifically proven technique to actually calm your body, calm your mind, even slowing your heart rate pretty much immediately. Great preparation if you're enter a new state of mind for learning, a state of mind for action and performance, and so on. Okay, so there's a little tip for you. All right, but today's practice starts. It's kind of, I want you to think of it as a mindfulness practice for your musical journey, for your guitar practice, for your musical practice. Okay, so this is really a musical practice that's aimed on settling into your body, your hands and your fingers moving on the instrument. Most importantly, opening your ears, listening to what you're doing and and the sounds coming out, and also tuning into your musical mind and following your instincts about when you might want to, where you might want to go on your instrument and the sounds you might want to hear next. Okay, if you take this as a simple starting point, this will allow you to create songs, solos, all kinds of things if you're at that stage. I often will, if I want to write a song, this is how I start very often these days. If I want to create a break or a solo for a song that I'm working on and going to take a solo in, I'm going to start this way very often. Okay, but even if you're just at the beginning of your journey and you only know a chord or two or can only play some single notes or something, again, you can do the same thing. It really is about kick-starting that musical mindset and your connection with sound and physical touch on your instrument here. Okay, so let's jump into it. All right, it's a very simple thing. I'm going to start with one chord. I'm going to assume most of us know at least a chord. Okay, and we'll start very simply with a G major chord. Doesn't matter how you play it, whether it's that way or this way. Okay? And again, what we're doing is we're really focusing on the music and the sounds in this kind of setting. We want to settle into the sound here. Okay? So it doesn't really matter. We don't want to think about technique or anything. In fact, our technique is just a tool to get to the sound that we want to hear. And so by doing this exercise that I'm about to show you, you will actually practice technique in a practical way, where if you're going for a sound, you will figure out how to do it, and you're not thinking about your scales or exercises or anything like that. You're just going for that note or those notes. Okay, so it really doesn't matter if you play G this way, G this way, however you want to do it, however you know how to play G that way. Okay, now again, we start by settling in. I'm just going to strum this chord and really let the sound wash over me. I might break it up, start breaking it up a little bit, listen to it, make sure I'm in tune, of course, right? But I want to listen to the resonance coming from my instrument, feel the vibrations in my fingers and my body coming through the body of the guitar here, in my ears. I want to feel that G chord really ring, and let it ring, let it settle over you. Okay? And just by doing this, you've already won. You've accomplished something, okay? I want you to get that mindset of, okay, I could sit here, and if this is all I do for right now, this 2 minutes or whatever, great. It's really good practice because you're settling in, focusing on the sound, and holding that chord. Okay. But what I'll do is I'm going to start kind of drumming up some musicality, meaning, and again, I might start simply by just strumming that chord and maybe breaking it up and going, okay, what if I do a little pattern? Now all of a sudden I have rhythm, as simple as that is. And what I'm going to do, and if you don't know how to do this yet, this is a great place to practice this, is I'm simply going to pick a set of strings, or one string in particular, from the chord. Of course, I'm going to keep coming back to the roots, or this full sound of the chord, to keep my bearings. But I'm going to sit there kind of listen to how that note is embedded in that chord. Like, what does that note kind of make me feel? Even by playing that one note, I'm going to start kind of feeling a rhythm, right? As soon as I have a note or two against each other, interacting with each other, I have a sense of rhythm. And so you want to kind of let that kind of feel out. Now I'm going to keep it very simple. Now, that's a good starting point. Now, I'm going to experiment on that string. So I'm playing that D string, that 4th string. I can go to that 2nd fret, and how I go, I'm gonna hammer on, and I'm just listening to what that does to the context of the G chord. It creates this tension, this interesting color that wants to go back to where we came from, that open 4th string. Now I'm gonna use it. Now that I understand that, I kind of sat with that tension and know, okay, how about how long I can hold that tension to when I want to hear it resolve back? Now I can add that 3rd string in to kind of help resolve it, move from that note, that tension note, kind of through it to another note that's in the chord already, so resolving it pretty quickly. So now we could create terms like that's a passing tone, for example. Right? And notice how there's an inherent rhythm. As soon as I hear that note and kind of get familiar with it, I start giving it a rhythm because it has a characteristic to me. Okay? Now I might try that on incorporating like the 5th string. Notice that if I change anything in the chord, I'm going to create some tension, and I'm just kind of coming to terms with it. Like, what is that tension? What's that note feel like? How long can I hold it, or where does it want to go, right? And then if I combine 2 of them, so I'm starting to learn a lot about music. Like, for example, if I hold that note, that tension note, it kind of actually feels like a shift now. And I know that's an A note, so okay, but if I play an A chord, not just a note that created tension, I have the idea for a whole chord change that came from that tension, and I can do the same kind of idea with that one chord. sounds like an away chord. Alright, now I played on that 5th string out, going up to the 3rd fret. Alright, and I know that if I hold that note, that's a whole new chord right there. That's a C chord, right? Notice how I keep this in the context of the rhythm. Now, what if I go to the 6th string and take off that? Remember, that's going to be an E chord, E minor. Like, what if I had that 3rd fret of that 3rd string? Okay, and so we're just kind of allowing the sound to unfold by exploring with our fingers, using our ears to hear and kind of understand what notes, what the sound and connections are here. And you can't really go wrong. You might at first, if you play something and try a movement or try a note, and you might hear it and go, oh, not what you expected. I'm not sure what to do with that note. Let it sit for a while and see what happens. So if I, experimented and went here and try to make that make sense in the context of G, okay, well, I'm just going to repeat it. All right, and now my ears start. Now I have a new idea. I've gone in a totally different direction. It's not right or wrong, it's just different. There's definitely a place for that note in a different kind of context than what I originally was playing with. And that's okay. Now I'm like, okay, what is that? And then I can, what this kind of thing is we're simply playing what we're playing by experimenting, moving fingers, listening, and then it's this interaction between moving and listening and making adjustments and seeing, okay, do I want to go up from here, go down from here, what do I want to connect this to? And so you can learn so much from there if you really wanted to by taking the time afterwards and saying, what did I do? What would I call that? What do I call those notes? What would I call those chord changes? And so on. But you don't even have to do that. You could kind of just leave that experimentation just kind of there and just walk away. And you will still gain so much because you're learning how to connect with the sound and your fingers on your instrument in a musical, mindful kind of way. That is the glue that really holds together any type of practice or performance in music. And it's hard to train that. We kind of get kind of goal-oriented with scales and trying to play faster or these licks or these solos or whatever, and that's all great. But what really makes that come alive is the connection that we bring to those materials, and we have to practice that. So this is one of the best ways I've personally started practicing this. And like I said, if you can learn how to enjoy just doing this process, you will, if you've gone off of the wagon and not really enjoyed practicing or not really into music, we all go through that. This is how I came back to it. One of the main ways I came back to it was just sitting there with sounds and experimenting and allowing it to just unfold, having no real end or goal in mind by doing this, just sitting with it and kind of learning, teaching myself to connect every day, sometimes multiple times a day. So you're just learning that very, very important, kind of almost intangible skill as a musician. So there's a lot that you could really pack into this type of process, but hopefully, we start simple. Hopefully this kind of simplified it for you. If you like this video and you want to see more kind of off the wall, off the cuff kind of ideas in musical practice that almost anyone can apply. Make sure you follow along, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share it with your friends, family, other musicians that you know, and yeah, get your community rolling here, get your musical mind rolling, and enjoy your practice again. Thanks.